Welcome to Grease Chats podcast with Tony Kariotis. Today's episode is a little different. I'm on site with today's guest. I have the founder of Hellenic Aesthetic. What's up, Marianthi?
Hey, Tony. Thank you so much for having me. I feel like we've been trying to get this scheduled forever, so I'm glad we finally got to sit down and do it. So
over a year. We said we'd do it in the spring and winter, but we finally found the time that works.
Here we are, exactly.
What's going on?
Nothing. We just had a book signing for you here in the store today, which was super fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was fantastic.
Totally. It's my pleasure. Part of the reason why I wanted to have a physical retail store is so we could do events like that. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone had a nice time, and you sold some books and took some photos with some fans and stuff. So
it was pretty cool.
It's always fun. Yeah. So thanks for coming in to do that.
For sure. Why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Marianthi Vlachos. I'm a retail entrepreneur and designer, founder of Hellenic Aesthetic, which is America's first Greek fashion imports company. And most recently, I am the creative director for Rise with Apollo Coffee.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So obviously I feel like you've been doing this forever, but when did you start Hellenic Aesthetic?
It feels like forever. It was 6 years ago, almost to the day that we launched our eShop. So that was 2017. It feels like yesterday in some ways, and it also feels like 20 years ago in other ways. Yeah. And it's been like a slow and organic build to get to where we are. But when I originally founded, we were an eShop. We started with 3 product categories. So we had some like little sandal, like kind of flip-flops. We had jewelry, and we had some ceramic housewares. Yeah. And that was it. And we've just grown and grown and grown over the last 6 years to now have a brick and mortar and have over 60 Greek brands represented, and to have so many different product categories that it would take me a while to name them all. So
for sure. I mean, the items here, just look around the room, are fantastic. I mean, I found Maria a few gifts here over the years.
You have.
And she still loves that bag.
Yes, I saw she took it to
even my mom. We picked one up for my mom one time one day.
That's right. Yeah. She took it to the Greek parade in Tarpon. I saw she was showing me her pictures. Yeah. Those bags are awesome. They have Greek key on them. And so they're like, you can see them from a mile away, and I feel like everyone just loves them, and they're really practical and really cute and make a statement.
So you started Hellenic Aesthetic 2017. When did this store open?
The physical boutique opened in June of 2021. So it'll be 2 years in June. And it was sort of like a crazy thing to do post-pandemic, but I just felt really inspired to take a big leap after such a weird time in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all about inspiration. I love hearing inspiring stories. What inspired all this? What was it?
I think what inspired the eShop was my yearly trips to Greece. I graduated college in 2013, and every summer after that, I would go to Greece, and I would go into boutiques on the islands and in Athens and just see all the new and emerging brands. And I just became really inspired by those designers that I was seeing. And you know, when you're in Greece, like you want to buy everything in sight, and then you bring it home, and then people are asking you like, where's that from? And you can't be like, oh, go to this tiny island on this, in Greece, and to this boutique I don't even remember the name of, and find it. So I thought, all of these items are so cool, and all these brands are so cool. Why is no one selling this stuff in the US? And why is there not like a one-stop shop for Greek brands in the US? And so I just decided to create it. And so really the designers that we carry inspire me. They inspired me to begin, and they continue to inspire me and to want to push and to continue to grow. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Now, I know you said there's a million different categories, but talk to me about your items. Talk to me about it's your curation. Some of it I'm sure you design.
Totally. So we started off only selling other brands. And I always thought of Hellenic Aesthetic as its own brand, because I just sort of thought of this like lifestyle that I wanted to sort of capture with like the branding and the Instagram and like even the things that we put into a package when we ship it. So the brands that we carry, everything's designed and made in Greece. I think like the vast majority of everything that's on the website is designed and made in Greece. With the exception of a few things that just don't make logistical sense to make. They're like books. Our candle is poured in the US, things like that. But our brands, we have some of the most famous Greek brands. We have some kind of indie brands that are emerging. We have just like random things that I found just when I was traveling, and I'll just ask the person like, can I buy like 20 of these? Yeah. So it just depends. We work with fashion showrooms, do things very official, and And then we also just like, I just hit up people on Instagram when I'm in Athens and just say, hey, can I meet you in a coffee shop and like see what you do, see what you sell. So we have clothing brands. It's predominantly women's clothing. A lot of our brands are resort wear brands, but many also do like ready to wear women's clothing, and they do fall and winter, and they also do spring and summer collections. We have sandals, we have pantry items, we have so much jewelry, which was really like our first category, like our first main category was jewelry. And now we have so many incredible brands. We sell fine gold jewelry. We sell like fashion jewelry, which would be like gold plated jewelry, and accessories and bags like Maria's bag. I sort of slowly transitioned, like the more that I was meeting people in Greece, I realized that there were little holes in the market that I was seeing that the designers weren't, whatever, just like there were items that like I wanted and I couldn't really find anyone that was making them, but I had enough kind of design sense to be able to like design them, but just I needed someone to actually be able to physically manufacture them in Greece. So I found a wonderful leathersmith that we work with, and they make all of our leather goods. I sort of just like through word of mouth, just like if you need something in Greece, all you have to do is ask somebody, and like usually like their cousin or their brother or somebody that they know, their friend knows somebody who can help you with that. And so, or slowly but surely, I just sort of like began designing our own products, and then that turned into me designing our own fine jewelry line, which is like my pride and joy. And I was just in Greece 2 weeks ago, and that was mainly my focus, was meeting with the manufacturers in Greece that produce our fine jewelry, and trying to just like come up with new designs and kind of look at samples and just get inspired by being there. So we're sort of an all-encompassing, like I like to think of it as an all-encompassing lifestyle brand, because we just have so many things that just like for any, like for your home to wear, whatever it is. And because I just feel like Greece is a lifestyle, and like even if you live in New York or if you live in Kansas, like you can still like have a little bit of that in your everyday life, and like that's what we try to bring to people. So
it's amazing.
Thank you.
You mentioned, you were talking a little bit about social media.
Yeah.
How has social media, I don't want to say affected it, because I feel like a big part of what you do is you push this stuff through social media, but just talk to me about your experience, how social media has helped this business.
Totally. So without social media, I wouldn't have, I find so many of our brands through social media. And so that helps me a lot because I can't be in Greece all the time. And so it's just like organically, just I spend a lot of time on Instagram. And so just organically like finding new brands and people to collaborate with. Social media helps a lot with that. But also social media has helped us so much to gain awareness for our e-commerce shop and our physical store. We've never purchased followers or likes or anything like that. It's been a complete organic growth from 0 to over 20,000 followers now we have on our Instagram. And that helps so much because we would be nowhere without that following and without people being excited about the things that we post. And I like to post, of course, product and product photos and introduce our designers and introduce our new designs. But I also like using social media to highlight Greek artists, to highlight old photography, to highlight just like things that inspire me when I see them, and my own photography, and just to share like the little things that I love about Greece. And sometimes those moments go viral. Sometimes, I mean, not like viral, not like the way that you've gone viral, but like sometimes people get really excited and they like to like repost things, and like they get just like super hype about the things that we post on social media. And it's also just like beautiful pictures of Greece. Like it's not just about selling things. It's about like, here's this place, like we love it, and these are the things we love about it, and we want you to go, and if you can't experience them, like at least to kind of just see it through social media and to call attention to like the details and the things that I love about Greece, and kind of bring that to light.
Yeah, no, you touch on like you have a worldwide audience that's looking for something Hellenic.
Yeah.
And like you just said, you have stuff that gets shared all the time. Talk to me about like this journey of like compliments or people sharing your product, and just talking about that feeling. It's
crazy. It really is. And I didn't experience it quite as much as I did once we opened the physical store. Of course, it's lovely like to have a nice comment on social media, and people do DM us and, you know, tell us like, thank you so much for helping me feel closer to my culture, or to my, you know, my grandparents were from Greece, and, you know, that you just have taught me things about my culture that I didn't know, things like that. something that we do that I feel like connects people is the March bracelets that we just had. I mean, I feel like no one...
I still got mine on from last year.
Awesome. I should have given you a new one. I just like totally dropped the ball this year. I apologize.
It's all good.
We had
They're
a lot
built to last.
Yeah, exactly. This is over a year old.
To last. I got mine still on.
That's like I feel like they weren't very popular in the US, and we started selling them quite a few years ago, and like now everyone loves to like, they post a photo of them when they first get them. Yeah. They post a photo on May 1st wearing that, or March 1st when they put them on. And then people are tagging us now in their posts because they're tying them onto trees because now that March is over. That's like what you're supposed, what some people do with them. Right. And so that sort of like helped like connect everybody, and they're just super excited to participate in this Greek tradition that maybe people were familiar with. Some people remember it from their childhood. Some people have never heard of it before. We have people that aren't Greek that love participating. So that's a cool thing. And then when people just walk in here, they're just, I don't know, so excited to be here. And that's so rewarding for me because I get to hang out here every day, but to see the store through fresh eyes for people is so exciting for me because I'm kind of gotten used to it after 2 years. And they just, I don't know, it's really rewarding just to see how excited people get, to be thanked for running an e-commerce store. That's like not something I ever would have thought. Because like I'm so grateful for the people that follow us, for the people that like our posts, for the people that reshare, for the people that shop, for the people that tag us, you know. And so the fact that people come to me and thank me for running an e-commerce store, I just like never thought that would be a
Especially
thing.
In a world where there's millions of them, but you have to bring something unique for an e-commerce store to pop.
Totally. You have to find your niche.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're so oversaturated. And what's kind of crazy too is like when I first started and I first started reaching out to the brands and to these makers and these manufacturers in Greece, a store like mine didn't exist here. And so when I would say like, hey, I love your product, I'd love to sell it in the US, a lot of times they were like, do you really think you could sell this in the US? Like, you think people would want to sell this? And I was like, I do. I really think that they do. And 6 years later in a brick and mortar, like, I think I was right. I think I proved my own concept. But sometimes they didn't even believe in their own product. And like, that broke my heart. And I was like, no, I think I got this. I just like, I can help you, you know? And so just to go through that sort of transition of like them not be like, a lot of them never really thought of selling their products here. And then I was just like, I think we can do this. So
That's
yeah.
Amazing. For those listening, if you're ever in New York, you got to come and check out this shop.
Thank you.
I know most of the world can only see you through eShop, but for those that are in the area, definitely want to come check it out. Even if you're not, just come take a walk through here. And
totally.
It takes you to Greece for a few minutes.
Yeah. Come to Astoria, come to a Greek restaurant, have lunch. Our corner right here is super Greek. Under Pressure Coffee's across the street.
This is like the Greek triangle.
It is
Souvlakia, coffee.
Exactly.
And Hellenic Aesthetic.
And there's like St. Demetrius church, so you can light a candle. Like we have like a little bit of like a little corner of Greece right here. Too, There's so much here. Yeah. And so we do get a lot of people that come here to the store when they're traveling to New York. Sometimes people come with their suitcases because they're on their way to LaGuardia, because LaGuardia is only like 8 minutes from here. And so we've had people from Canada and from all over the US come to the store when they're in town, which is just really cool. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, like, obviously you've been on this journey where you've been hitting your milestones and all that stuff, but just talk to me about, in your particular opinion, I ask this to all my guests, I want to know what your definition of success is. And I know this can change every year for you, but right now, how would you define success?
Sure. I think ultimately success for me would be like to have things sort of automated in a way that I could just spend 3 months of the year in Greece.
That's a great.
That's like the ultimate goal. But I feel like when I opened this store, I feel like that was something for me that it was like I had to prove to myself that I could do it. And I really didn't want to do this unless I really feel like I had a community that was super strong behind me. Mm-hmm. And so when I opened this store, I just sort of breathed the sigh of relief. And I was like, okay, like you don't have to, like you did it. I don't know. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I just feel like I don't have anything to prove anymore. And so like, that's how I feel like I'm being successful. And I think when I go back to Greece and I meet with the designers that I work with and the manufacturers and the people that I collaborate with, and they just have, they respect me and they appreciate my opinion and they value my opinion and my business and our collaboration so much, like that is success to me, is like knowing that I have an impact on their lives and like on their businesses, and that I also can like then turn around and share that with the people that shop with us. That is what success is to me, because that's what it's all about. It's just like sort of like creating this like virtuous circle.
Yeah.
And I've been able to do that for the last 6 years, and I'm incredibly grateful. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about this shop, because obviously it takes us to Greece. Talk to me about, I mean, I'm sure every corner of this you had your fingerprints on.
Yeah.
So for those that are only listening, like you feel like you're in a cycladic dome. So talk to me about the process of putting this together.
So I found the space. It was like December of 2020 when we were like, okay, like this is the space, like this is what's happening. Like we got the green light. And it's sort of the real work began, which was like finding an interior decorator, interior designer. And we ended up going with actual architects to design the interior of the store. And then sort of like, what is it going to look like? And so I hired architects from Athens. They're called South Architecture. And I wanted to choose Greeks because I didn't want the space to feel like patronizing in any way. Like I didn't want it to be like someone else's idea of Greece. Like I really wanted actual Greeks to design the store. And I want to be able to support Greek design like in every way possible. So that was extremely important to me. And so I told my architects, I said, you know, I really want niches, which you can see behind us. Yeah. And I really want arches, because that to me, it's like this very cycladic vibe that I just thought would translate really well and that people would understand it. And to me, my family's from two different parts of Greece, the Ionian Islands and the Dodecanese Islands. And so the Cycladic Islands are like a neutral ground, because I didn't really want to go to either side, because I didn't want to upset anybody in the family. You know how that can be.
Oh, for sure.
So I was like, let's go Cycladic, because it's so iconic and it's so clean and it's so like minimalist. And so the architects, that's all I told them really was like clean, minimalist, like here's my website. They took reference from like a lot of my film photography, a lot of the designs that we have here from the website, and just the niches and arches thing. And we did the entire design process via Zoom. I don't know how we did it. They never have stepped foot in this space. And it took us, oh my God, about 6 months from like demo to opening the store. It took under 6 months, I would say.
That's not that bad.
It wasn't that bad.
And
like the architects were kind of like shocked, I think, about like how quickly we were able to get things done. But it's like, we're in New York, like, you know, whatever. And like, I was ready to open the store. Like I was born ready to do this. So it was like, it's time. Like COVID regulations are lifting. Like people want to hang out. People want to shop in stores. Like I want to get this boutique open.
Sure.
And so I can't take credit for the store, the way that it looks, but I did have a heavy hand in certain details and certain aspects. And I'm extremely proud of it. And I'm extremely proud of the fact that we work with Greek contractors, Greek electricians, Greek architects, like everybody was Greek, and it all came together so wonderfully. So
amazing.
Yeah.
So it leaves me with, what's next with Hellenic Aesthetic?
That's a great question. The more we grow, the more I continue to add more brands and add more categories and sort of like continue to build out this like multifaceted lifestyle boutique. For me personally, I really want to continue to build out our fine jewelry collection and continue to design our pieces. I've designed a great deal of our fine jewelry, and I'm sort of like toying with this idea of making it its own brand as like an offshoot from Hellenic Aesthetic, because I feel like it sort of gets forgotten that it's like, whatever, that I designed this jewelry, and I feel like it just kind of gets like mixed in with everything else. Sure. And I want it to sort of stand up on its own, because it is unique. So I'm kind of conceptual, like have a concept going in my head of like what that's going to look like, which I'm really excited about. And I just want to continue to build that out and continue to make jewelry in Greece. And I would love to actually wholesale that jewelry to other boutiques and other retailers. And then recently my brother and I just launched a coffee company, Rise of the Apollo. So that's been like taking a lot of my brain power and focus.
I think I had like 3 cups of it earlier.
I think I did too. I'm probably shaking. But that's been a super fun project for me, because I've been able to just completely build a product from scratch, essentially. Yeah. Whereas like this started as like a store for other brands, but like this is like a brand for other. But,
and you have the perfect place to put it on the shelf.
Exactly. So like obviously Hellenic Aesthetic is the first retailer of Rise of the Apollo coffee, and we're actually talking to more people about. We literally launched like a week ago, and we're already talking to more people about putting it in their stores. But it's been fun to develop a brand from scratch, to do that again, because it's been a while since I did that with Hellenic Aesthetic. It's been, like 6 years. Yeah. And so developing the coffee brand has been interesting, and like we serve it in the store, like just like casually, if you were to come by, like we would serve it to you. You had it today.
Your brother was just walking around pouring people cups, or
exactly. We're just like pouring people cups, hanging out, drinking coffee, and so it's sort of like another part of like the lifestyle that we've created in the store, and it
circles back to why you opened this. Like, it's great to have products on the shelf, but to have little mini events like that, even people just stopping by.
Exactly, because people are always stopping by, coming in to say hi, and like we have our patio, which we're about to open at some point. We just got that back, so because there was a construction site behind the building, so we have like our little patio, and it's just like I wanted the store not to just be a place to buy things, but also a place for people to want to come and hang out, and it's actually become that. And you know that because like you've come to, we'll have pre-games here before concerts at Melrose, like we just like it's a place to hang out. It's more than just a boutique. So yeah, that's always fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's been a fun journey. I can't wait till it's going next.
Thank you.
But before we continue, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back on Grease Chats podcast.
Are you ready to visit Greece? So much to see. So much to do. So much to plan. So much wow. So much to take in. So much to learn. So much to enjoy. So much to discover. So little time. Where do you start? Introducing Greece Trips. Never miss a moment. Start planning with us today.
All right, we're back to Grease Chats podcast with Tony Kariotis. I'm here with the founder of Hellenic Aesthetic, Marianthi, and we just talked about what went into building this amazing place, her company from scratch as an eShop, and now she's got some new inspirations in the coffee industry, so things are just taking off. It's super inspiring. I want to talk a little bit about your Greek roots. But before we get there, I want to ask one more thing about Hellenic Aesthetic, because I think this affected a lot of people in different ways. But how did the pandemic and COVID affect what Hellenic Aesthetic is today?
Totally. So the first time we met was in November of 2019.
Around there.
Yeah, it was a pop-up that I had done in Long Island City.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure that was the first time we met.
Agora.
Yeah. R.I.P. And so Agora was super fun, and it was a great way to sort of bring all these different brands together, and it was a great way for me to meet community here in New York.
Finally I got to put a face to, I knew the page, we followed each other, but I didn't know who you were yet.
Totally. Yeah. So that was super cool for me to be able to like do a physical event, and I've done pop-ups all around the country since Hellenic Aesthetic started, because I was always trying to just get in front of my customer and like actually meet them and, see them in person. So we came off of such a great in-person event, and I was like, yay, can't wait to do more of these kind of things. And then a few months later, boom, lockdown, craziness. And I was actually in Greece in February of 2020, and I was meeting with a ton of jewelry manufacturers and designers and things like that. And everyone was gearing up for what was supposed to be the craziest tourism year that Greece was ever going to see. Yeah. The most tourists were, to ever visit there were going to be coming in the summer of 2020, and that was never to happen. And so all these people are in Greece in February doing business, right? Like they're buying for their boutiques in Santorini and Mykonos and Plaka and whatever. And so suddenly the world comes to a halt, and all of these Greek physical stores that were doing business with like our manufacturers and our designers were like, well, we can't take product now because we don't even know if we're going to be able to be open. Right. And meanwhile, back here in the US, like my eShop was, we were just starting to launch our fine jewelry collection. And, I was like, do we launch? Like, this is kind of a weird time. Like, it's things are going to be reopening in 2 weeks, right? And it
right.
never happened. So I'm kind of glad 2 weeks. So I was like, you know what? I'm kind of glad we actually did just go ahead and launch the fine jewelry collection. And months are going by, and like our website was doing really, really well. And I think a lot of people were feeling bad for themselves because they had to cancel their trips to Greece, their honeymoons, their weddings, their vacations. And so I think it was partly like, oh no, I can't go to Greece, so I'm going to just buy something from Greece to make myself feel better. I think a lot of people were looking for a pick-me-up. I think a lot of people were just bored and they were on their phones and like looking to shop. And so our website did really, really well. And I feel bad saying that because so many people lost their livelihoods, lost their lives, lost their jobs during that time. But for us, it was kind of this crazy time. And I really just decided to focus on what can I do, right? And so I was continuing my relationships, of course, with everybody in Greece, all the manufacturers. And while all of their counterparts in Greece were canceling their orders, I was ordering more than ever from them. And because I had an eShop, like it's not like I had to shut down a physical boutique because I didn't have my boutique at that time. So I just had this eShop that was just really doing really well. And so I didn't end up going back to Greece until it was September of 2021 at that point. And I hadn't seen anybody since then. And almost every single person that I met with said, Marianthi, thank you so much for what you did during the pandemic because you had essentially the infrastructure to continue. Because most of the retail in Greece, it's brick and mortar mom and pop stores that don't have an online presence. Right. And I already had all that. And so I was able to continue business as usual and continue to buy from them and continue just to help them. And when everyone else in Greece was like, we can't do this. So knowing that I was able to help them during that time was really interesting, really rewarding. And I had no idea. And I feel like since then have just taken me more seriously. I think that they really appreciate my business, my support, my feedback, and our collaboration so much more. Because I just didn't even realize that that's what I was doing. You know what I mean? I was just working because whatever, people wanted to buy things and I was providing them for them. And so it was really kind of a crazy time. And I don't know, sort of grateful that we had the infrastructure to be able to continue to support the people in Greece and be able to provide the product to the people here in the US and around the world that were wanting it. So
it's amazing and inspiring.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, I want to shift gears now. Let's talk a little bit about, you say you're obviously in Greece often.
Yeah.
So where in Greece is home for you?
Okay, so my mom's mom was born on the island of Rhodes. And then my mom's dad was born in Virginia, but his parents were from Constantinople and Leonidio. And then my dad's side, both of his parents are from Kefalonia.
So complete opposite sides of Greece.
Complete opposite sides of Greece. So home for me, because it's the first place I ever went, I would say is Rhodes. Mm-hmm. I went there for the first time. I believe I was 7 years old with my mom and my grandparents. And it just is such an amazing memory for me. And then, of course, Kefalonia as well, because that's where our village house is. It's where so much of our family history took place. Yeah. And so between the two, it's like hard to choose, but definitely Kefalonia and Rhodes.
Before this is done, you're going to have to pick one.
Yeah, right. We'll see. I might get disowned. Yeah.
All right. So this next question, I'm going to ask 2 times because you got Rhodes and you got Kefalonia.
Yeah.
What would you tell a traveler who's coming to Rhodes and to Kefalonia for the first time? Like one piece of good advice.
I would say, so Rhodes they're both big islands. Mm-hmm. So I would say for Rhodes that you should not stay in one place, meaning like spend a few days on one part of the island and spend a few days in a different part of the island. Definitely rent a car. So I would say stay like near Lindos or in Lindos, like the actual village for a few nights. Yeah. And then I would say to actually stay in the old town, in the castle, in the medieval town. It is such a cool experience. They have great bed and breakfast there. It's really cool, and I highly recommend doing that. It's such a beautiful island. It's such a large island. I'd say avoid Faliraki.
Yeah. For sure.
No offense to anybody with a business there.
But I heard it's cleaned up a little bit. Okay. But I would avoid Faliraki.
I would. Yeah, those are my hot tips. Yeah. And then for Kefalonia, again, rent a car. They're both such
2 huge islands.
They're both such big islands. Kefalonia is so beautiful, and I would say, oh my God, definitely take time to like like it's worth it to get in your car and to drive and to like go to all the different beaches, to go to the Melisani caves, to really like explore. It's such a green island. It's such a mountainous island. There's so many things to do there. Go to the monastery and see Ios Gerasimos, like do all of those things.
Yeah.
And it's a fun island for people that like to explore. And just like get out there and like see everything because there's so much to see there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a funny story about, you say both need a car, and both absolutely do.
Yeah.
We were in Rhodes, and we went to Lindos, and by the time we were getting close, it was time to get gas. But I'm like, you know what? I'll get gas on the way back. No big deal.
Yeah.
But we stayed late, but not super late. Like, we started heading back like 10. It's about an hour drive back to Old Town. And I'm driving, and the gas is starting to drop a little bit low. Oh. And I'm like, this main road, one of these is going to be open. We pass gas station after gas station. They're all closed. What's going on? We're driving, 30 minutes goes by, and it's like really getting low. And I'm like, Maria, none of these are open. What is going on? We go, and I'm like, we're like fighting this, like, we're either going to barely make it or we're not making it because like nothing's open.
Yeah.
And eventually I have like 2 minutes of driving left to get to the house, and the car stops. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now it's like a 15-minute walk home. No big deal.
That's scary though, because the roads are super dark. Like,
it was on that main road, and the house my aunt's house is literally right off it. So I wasn't concerned about that. So I'm like, what are we gonna do now? We gotta call Avis. We start walking.
Yeah.
We get to the house. We tell my aunt, my cousin, what's going on. We call Avis. They're gonna start coming. Guy comes, and due to COVID, he goes, I can only take one of you two in the truck. I'm like, bro, you're going to leave me or my girlfriend alone here right now?
Yeah.
He goes, there's nothing I can do. I'm like, bro, it's 2 a.m. It was actually not 10, it's 11. It was late. It was like 2 a.m. by the time he came. And I just look at him. He keeps saying no, and I just keep repeating the question. I'm like, I'm just going to break through this wall he's creating. Like, it's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
How are you helping us by taking one of us, and you can't put one in the car, two in the car? It's protocol, this is not. And I just keep repeating myself.
Yeah. And
he looks at me, he goes, Tucker, get in and just drop her head low. Like, so nobody can see from the outside. I'm like, what are you talking? Like, seriously, who's going to look at us?
Like you're smuggling her. Yeah.
He goes, I don't want to lose my license. It's the rule here. I can't put 2 people in the car because of COVID.
Oh my God. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember hearing that rule.
Anyways.
So you got home.
He tows us to the gas station.
One that was open.
No. One that we passed.
Oh my God.
He goes, these all have the vending machine. You can go plug your credit card in and then it activates it.
So you don't need a person.
All of them I drove by, I could have got gas.
Oh my, I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of it.
That is bizarre.
He goes, if the big tabella sign's on, that means that they have the machine. If it's completely off, they don't have the machine.
I've never heard of that.
So
we don't have that in the U.S.
I'm putting the thing in, it's not working, and then I'm like pressing buttons, and we got it to work, and when I tell you, Maria jumped for joy.
Oh my God.
It was like, we both were like, woo!
Oh my God. You guys, you're a risk taker though. Like I've traveled with Tony in Greece, and you definitely like to take risks.
I have a car story every year.
Yeah.
I have a car story every year.
But luckily that wasn't when we were trying to go to Kalamata last summer because, we had our own issues. But,
we ended up putting gas. We got home.
Oh my God.
We went to bed, and the next day it was like nothing happened. Something happened. It was a wild night.
Yeah.
But so if you know, now that you guys know, if you're driving, you're low on gas and it's late, a lot of these gas stations have this machine where you go put your card in, tell what pump you want, and it'll activate it and let you pump.
I feel like that's really high tech.
Yeah, I didn't think Greece would be anywhere near that.
Do we have that here?
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Bizarre. Yeah. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Well, now you know.
Yeah, so now you know. But so obviously Rhodes has some really cool stuff. For those listening strictly for the travel stuff, you got Lindos, Old Town. And there's a really cool beach that makes you feel like you're in some like exotic island of beaches. If you go all the way down to Prasonisi, have you been?
I've been to Prasonisi.
Yeah, it's like kite surfing.
It's really windy.
The water comes from both sides.
Yeah,
it's really, really cool.
It's beautiful, but it's super windy.
Really far.
Yeah.
And when you go there, all the radio stations change to Turkey because you're so close.
Yes. Yeah, that is such an interesting part of Rhodes is that it's so close to Turkey, and then Kefalonia is like by Italy, and so it's like you kind of get two different
and then
different
inland
vibes.
Rhodes has a lot to offer too. You got the butterflies, you got the Pita, the Seven Springs.
Yes.
You got the bees, the beehives.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff in Rhodes. I spent a good amount of time there in the past. 1 year I spent like a month because I had some family there, and they were just. I was at the point in my summer I was a little tired of moving around, so I'm like, I'm just gonna live like a local.
It's
they were
nice.
calling me a Roditi.
I love that. Yeah. Well, you are from one of the Dodecanese Islands, so yeah. Another thing I love doing when I'm in Rhodes is going to Simi for the day.
Yeah.
Simi is such a beautiful island. It's almost like Hydra, but sort of more chill, I guess you could even say, because Hydra gets a lot of people because it's close to Athens.
Yeah, I haven't gotten yet. It was on our list 1 year in Rhodes, but we got super lazy.
It's beautiful.
And didn't go.
Yeah.
And then another stop you can do from there is Castellorizo.
I want to go there. I've never been. Yeah.
It's high on my list. Everyone raves about it.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And then if you're on the other side of Kefalonia, you get the dope beaches, Andisamos, Myrtos.
Andisamos is so beautiful.
Yeah.
The water is so clear, and then you just look up, and it's just like green as far as the eye can see.
And the water's literally blue and green at the same time. It's wild.
Yeah.
And then you got the Melisani Cave, and you got a million beaches, but expect to drive like hours between everything. It's far. And then the village of Assos is stunning.
Beautiful. Not Folegandros. Fiscardo is beautiful.
Fiscardo.
Yeah. There's a lot to see there, and there's a lot of history there. And
it's not a place you can go for a couple days. You need time.
I think so too. Like a week is nice.
Yeah.
Bring a copy of Corelli's Mandolin and read that while you're there. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So aside from Kefalonia and Rhodes, I need you to pick three of your favorite islands. Okay.
So I have a rule that I try to go to a new island every time I'm in Greece, in the summer. And so I've gone to Tinos the last 2 summers. I really love Tinos. It's right by Mykonos, but it's not a crazy party town like Mykonos is. But the food there is incredible. Yeah. It's beautiful. There's a famous church there, Tepanaia. So it's a very spiritual place, but it's also just like a nice place to hang out. I love that island. I love Folegandros. It's beautiful. It's tiny. It's almost like the little sister to Santorini in a way, especially that one town because you're like up so high.
Did you ever try the pasta there, the matza?
No.
It's like known for it.
You know what I tried there though? It's pita that's made with watermelon. And it was kind of weird because the watermelon gets dehydrated. So you don't really have much melon left in it by the time you eat it. It's like kind of sweet. So that was actually something that's kind of interesting, and there's a specialty there. We went in August, and it's a great time to go because I feel like they have just enough hotels on the island where they don't overpopulate the island. So like every seat in every taverna is full, but it's sort of quiet at the same time. And then what is my third favorite? I do love Simi. Or like, actually, I'm going to go with Crete. Because like Kefalonia, it's like the kind of place where it's like big, you need a car, it's super green, it's super mountainous, it's beautiful. I feel like Crete has incredible food. There's something for everyone there. You can hike the gorge, you can hike to beaches,
Crete's massive.
It's amazing. And
that's like 4 or 5 islands in one.
It is. And so if someone is telling me like, oh, I really only have time for one island, where should I go? Like I would send them to Crete because it's so beautiful, and fly into one airport and then you like drive across the island and you fly out of the other one.
Exactly.
That's what we did. So those are definitely all favorites. But I'm continuing to explore, and the more of Greece I see, the more confused I get on like what my favorite is.
Yeah. My favorite changes every year.
Totally.
And another cool thing about Folegandros is that you walk up the zigzags to the church.
Yes.
Yeah.
So cool. So beautiful.
Amazing sunset up there.
It really is. And it's sort of like a lesser known island. You know, the islands that you have to get to by either helicopter or by ferry or boat.
Yeah. The ones that don't have airports.
The ones that don't have airports are so incredible because there's a barrier to entry there where like you really have to try to get to these islands.
You can't get off the island anytime you want. There's like 3 ways out.
Exactly. So you're really dedicating yourself to being there. And I really feel like the tourists that go to tiny islands like that are really dedicated to finding places that are off the beaten path. And
connecting with the locals is a big
Exactly. Like you want to go and like feel like you're getting an authentic experience. So I feel like airportless islands are the way to go.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart. All right. So how about 3 mainland cities, towns, or villages? All in one.
Okay. I want to start with Athens because I feel like Athens gets a bad rap. I I love Athens. I feel like when people go for like 24 hours and go to the Parthenon and that's it, I guess it upsets me.
Yeah.
Or if they just like fly through Athens on their way to Mykonos, I'm like, no, you have to stop in Athens. The more time I spend there, because I go for business multiple times a year, the more I fall in love with the city. It's gritty, it's complicated, it's ancient, it's modern. It's like all of these things all at once. There's world-class museums, incredible restaurants, top-rated bars. There's like outdoor cinemas. There's amazing boutiques. There's so much like hustle and bustle, but it's like Greek hustle and bustle. So it's not like New York City, but it's like the Greek version of what New York City would be. And so I love Athens and I love spending time there. I enjoy, what village should we go to? So when Tony and I met up with Tony and Maria this summer in Greece, and we drove from Athens down to Kalamata. And what was the village we drove to that wasn't, it was when we had lunch at. Yeah.
Oh, before we got to Stupa.
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember the name.
That was, so like, I want to explore the Mani Peninsula, like keep going more south. Like, I want to kind of explore.
That was when you guys thought I had a heart attack when I fell in the icebox.
She felt, yeah. Tony's dramatic. If you didn't know already. We had such a great time, but it was just like so many weird random things kept happening to us. Like Tony slipping on
I was actually
on a
telling
cooler.
somebody this story the other day because the reason I fell, I had a backpack on that had nothing to do with it. The sayonara rolled over the front.
Yeah.
And I completely lost my balance. And I fell and just
you like slipped out of your flip flop.
Yeah, and slid on the ice block. If that wasn't there, I was gonna face plant on the ground.
Yeah, which would have been pretty funny.
Yeah, it would have been
sorry.
Leah thought I was having a heart attack.
You just like the way that you like collapsed was like kind of.
Yeah.
And you like look up at me and laugh, but they couldn't see your face, so they didn't know what had happened to you. But yeah, you just like slid on the condensation that was on top of this like ice cream
the fall
case.
From that to the icebox was just like someone who just like lost all control of their body.
Yeah, that was scary. But we had a good laugh.
Yeah.
So I'd like to explore the Mani Peninsula and like that part of Greece more. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I really loved, we went up to like Olympia and like to Delphi, like renting a car and like driving around the mainland is such a wonderful thing to do, and going to Meteora and like things like that. Don't just go to the islands. There's so much to see on the mainland that, but you do need a car. I don't know. Is this like a sponsor for like renting a car in Greece?
You can rent your cars at GreeceMedia.com.
Seriously, rent his cars. So yeah, definitely. I like having the autonomy of like having a car and just being able to like do whatever you want. And so yeah, don't just run to the islands. There's so much to see on the mainland that is really, really cool. So
awesome. So you said Athens, Meteora.
Yeah, and like and Mani. I want to go further south. Yeah.
All right. 3 favorite Greek dishes.
Okay. Oh man, I love Yivetsi. My mom's especially.
Of course.
It's just the best. And like even when I get it in Greece, like everything's better in Greece except for Yivetsi. Like I don't know why I can't, because it's not usually like hers. So I just like can't.
Yeah, my mom makes a bomb Yivetsi.
I don't even bother eating it in Greece, which is like the only thing I'm like that on. I would have to say the last summer we had imam baldi a lot, which isn't a Greek dish, probably the origins. But it's like an eggplant. It's like eggplant that's roasted with tomato and onions. It's delicious. Okay. And just spanakopita, because you can eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah. It is like a universal food. And so I can eat spanakopita all day, every day. 3
favorite Greek desserts.
Definitely kourambiades are my favorite Greek like cookie. I know there's always like a hot debate on that, but definitely kourambiades all the way. Bougatsa, if it's like nice and warm and fresh, there's nothing better than bougatsa. And let me think. I don't know. I've been kind of like getting back into baklava lately.
Okay.
I feel like it's like a love-hate relationship with baklava. Like sometimes I'm like super into it, sometimes I'm not. And like I'm kind of getting back into baklava. So we'll put baklava on the list. Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Totally.
And then lastly, Freddo, frappe, or Hellenico cafe?
Okay, definitely Freddo. Freddo cappuccino, schietto, always.
All right.
I'll drink a Freddo espresso if I'm like being really aggressive with my coffee consumption. But no, definitely Freddo cappuccino. Come on.
All right.
Totally.
All right, just a couple more questions before we wrap up this episode. I want to know what or who inspires your work ethic.
Totally. I think from my family standpoint, I think my papa was a huge inspiration for me, my dad's dad. He came to the U.S. when he was in his 20s, and he just fought adversity like so much, whether it was trying to leave Greece. You know, he was born in Kefalonia, raised during World War II. His father was murdered by the Nazis, and so he became the man of the family at a very young age. And then, you know, in Kefalonia, the war is over, but then there's an earthquake that's devastating, and there was nothing there for him anymore. And so he left, started working on the oil tankers for Aristotle Onassis, and he sort of worked his way up, and he was just like very scrappy. And if you read it, he wrote an autobiography that we translated into English from Greek, and he's just a very inspirational individual. And he worked so hard. And once he moved to the U.S., he just was a machine. You know, he met my Yaya, they got married, and then he just went to work. And he worked for years and years and years to build up and become a very successful man in his own right, coming from literally nothing. And his mother, my great-grandmother, I mean, she worked in a field. My great-grandparents were, they grew grapes to dry them out and turn them into raisins. And so my grandmother like would give birth in the field. And so to know that just a few generations ago, like the women in my family were doing that. And now I get to do what I do, which is have this beautiful business. And I mean, I work very hard, but that's nothing like what my family's gone through in the past.
Sure.
So my family and their work ethic and everything that they did so that I can do this, that's really what inspires me.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's a great question. I would love to continue to create brands. I would love, like we just, like I said, launched this coffee brand, and I'd love to see like where else we can take that. I'd love to see where else we can take my jewelry line and things like that. I don't know. I hope that I'm spending more time in Greece. I would love to be able to, I've always said my grandparents had this amazing, once they retired, they spent the spring in New York, the summer in Greece, and the winter in Florida. And I grew up mostly in Florida, and my parents are down there. So I would love to be able to spend more time with them in Florida. And then there's nothing better than springtime in New York, and then to spend the summers in Greece. Like I would love to be able to have that trifecta. Yeah. So that would be ideal for a 5-year plan, is to get to that.
Perfect. One last question, and it's the question I ask everybody on this show, and it is, what does being Greek mean to you?
Growing up with a name like Marianthi in the U.S., I feel like being Greek is just something that's always come up in conversation. It's something that people are always asking me about. Like whenever I introduce myself to someone new, if they're not Greek, then they're like, "Oh, where's that from? Where are you from?" I'm like, "Well, I was born here, but my family's from Greece." And so it's something that just is so a part of who I am, and it's so a part of like my everyday life. And oddly enough, I've made a business out of everything that I love about Greece, and to be able to share that now with the community and with the people that follow us is such a crazy and interesting thing and a cool thing, and it's a rewarding thing. And I don't know, being Greek is like, it's everything to me. It's like breathing. It's like, it's just such a natural thing. It's just in everything that I do. And I really put my heart and soul into it. And I feel like being able to, like the sharing of that is just so inspirational for me. And so I don't know. I mean, it's just like, it's like breathing. It's just like, it comes naturally. Like, I just want to share it, and it just like comes through. And so, yeah, it's just
amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Plug yourself. Where can we find you? Tell us all the links.
All the links. Okay. So you can follow Hellenic Aesthetic on Instagram at Hellenic Aesthetic, HELLENIC AESTHETIC. I know it's like a tongue twister. My personal's at Marianthi V. And HellenicAesthetic.com. You can shop if you're ever in New York City. We're in Astoria, right in the heart of Astoria. I think those are all the links. And Rise with Apollo Coffee.
There you go. We got to try that.
Rise with Apollo. Yes.
Awesome. Marianthi, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony.
This has been great.
Yep.
Can't wait to see what's coming next.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Greece Chats Podcast with Tony Kariotis. And I'm here with Marianthi Vlachos, founder of Hellenic Aesthetic.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll talk to you again on the next episode.